This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
If only the transformation from illness to wellness were as simple as changing the spelling. Just change I to we, and we go from ill to well. Well, at the very core, there is a profound truth to be found in that magic spell. By myself, my capacity for transformation is quite limited. I tend to repeat the same choices day after day and remain fundamentally on the same path year after year. My choices are limited by the available resources in my physical and cultural environment, as well as internally by factors such as my awareness, my attitudes, my thinking, my knowledge, my experience, and my wisdom. But in God's wisdom, we were not placed alone, each on a separate planet. We have the benefit of interacting with family and community, as well as finding teachers and mentors to guide us through the challenges we face in our personal development, spiritual growth, and physical healing. When I contemplate the course of my life, it is punctuated by those guides and mentors who opened my world to new worlds of possibility and wonder, says Dr. Glenn. Valeria Tellez interviews Dr. Glenn Swartwout, co-author of Transforming Your Life, Volume 4, 18 incredible stories showing the strength of the human spirit. Dr. Glenn Swartwout is the wizard of wellness, medical empath, formulator, eye doctor, best-selling author, speaker, and developer of the clinical theory of everything. Dr. Glenn Swartwout graduated magna cum laude with honors in environmental earth sciences and chemistry from Dartmouth College. He received his doctorate at the top of his class in vision science with honors in optics, as well as leadership, being inducted into both Beta Sigma Kappa and the Gold Key Honor Societies. He interned at the State University of New York in Manhattan, where he trained at the largest outpatient vision clinic in the world. He served as editor, vice president, and president of the American Optometric Student Association, serving 4,000 international student doctor members. He is the author of over 50 professional papers, books, and software programs. His first professional office was in Tokyo, Japan. For the last 30 years, Dr. Glenn Swartwout has focused on developing a system of accelerated self-healing. The process starts with a biocommunication called biofield analysis, which he developed out of a variety of German electrodiagnostic techniques. His healing ministry now spans the globe with healing clients on every inhabited continent. The methods optimize the innate healing potential of your body, independent of particle symptoms of diagnoses. He has helped thousands of people get off drugs and avoid surgery. Dr. Glenn Swartwout is also available as a guest speaker and as a consultant. In his energy research, he rediscovered the frequency known in ancient China and Tibet as the dominant harmonic frequency of nature. Meet Dr. Glenn at acceleratedselfhealing.com and remedymatch.com. Here's the interview with Dr. Glenn Swartwout.
In your own words, who is Glenn Swartwout?
Aloha. I'm Glenn Swartwout and just had my 66th birthday And it's every year is a real blessing, because when I was about 30 years old, I discovered that I was dying of mercury poisoning from my dental fillings, and was over 99% chance of being dead before the age of 40. So I like to say I've exceeded my expiration date now by 26 years, and actually getting healthier over time, which is, our body is designed to heal itself. And I always believed that. I grew up in a family that was oriented to healing, natural healing. And so I've been forced to implement that path in an extreme way. And it's led to just amazing insights and discoveries about how the body works, how healing works, and even about the truth about science, which is not really well understood in the conventional realm. It's like the sciences are all kind of divided, and each type of science doesn't really understand or talk to the next category over. They're in different departments in the universities, and so I like to see how it all relates together, because it really actually makes things simpler. It's, science is very complex, but there's a simplicity behind it all, because it all comes from one universe, one creation, which I see as a living sentient universe.
I have too many questions now already. So when you speak of natural healing, for those who don't know or want some clarity on what that is, how would you describe what natural healing is?
Well, the body is self-healing by its nature, how it's designed to, it's self-organizing. It grows itself, it heals itself. If you have a cut, it's not a Band-Aid that heals the cut. It's the body actually forms new cells called granulation tissue, and that fills in the cut. And let's say it's on your fingertip where there's these little fingerprint ridges. It knows exactly how to reproduce those, even though they've been, damaged, destroyed. So it has a blueprint that's, it's in the genetics, but it's also it's expressed through the field, the energy field. Like, how does, let's say, the liver, you can cut out 99% of the liver, and if there's a little bit of tissue left, and if the rest of the body is healthy, you can regrow the entire liver. How does it know how to grow that? How does a blood vessel know how to regrow if it's been cut, or a nerve can regenerate? So it grows it grows into an energy field. And there's been some amazing exploratory research with the energy fields to start to regrow limbs even in humans, where, say, in a salamander, they just naturally can regrow a limb when it's cut off. So humans have that ability too, but it depends on creating the environment that supports and nurtures and guides the growth and healing.
Yeah, creating the environment. That is, would you say that that's key? And how do we learn to create that environment, Glenn? From intuition, I would say, from also that natural flowing state of
Absolutely.
knowing.
Intuition is very powerful, and we have it for a reason. We're designed to be survivors. When we have an intuition that we should do something or not do something, that's it's bubbling up into our conscious level from the subconscious and unconscious, which we know that there's so much more information that's processed at a biological level than we are aware of at a conscious level. So intuition is that transition from the biological awareness and information into our conscious awareness. And so if we attend to our gut feelings, our emotions, our thoughts and insights and feelings and intuitions and foresight, if we tune into that on a regular basis and we actually live from that, we take action from that, we enter a state of greater flow and ease rather than having to decide, which means to kill the alternative. Deciding is using a small part of the consciousness, the left brain, the logic, the reason, which is an important part as well. But we should also apply this meditation and contemplation which is more open-ended, to allow the entry of that deeper information from the biology, from the field in which we live. We're a fractal part of the entire universe, which, as I mentioned in the beginning, I believe is a sentient being, of which, it's said in spirituality that we are cells in God's body. And if we look at the structure of the cosmos and then look at the structure of the brain, the two are fractal, they're identical, they're just at different scales. So we're part of this living universe. And if we are open to the connection, we allow ourselves to flow with that rather than, there's the saying of we create our own universe. Well, yes, we have a mind that's capable of creating our own mental universe. And when that universe is at odds with the real reality around us, now we're in conflict. There's disharmony, there's disease. If we allow ourselves to flow with the universe and serve the greater good, serve the people around us, then there's harmony and ease and a sense of meaning. There's purpose, and that is our purpose, is to serve.
That's an idea that I have been reflecting upon for a long time. I have been writing about healing and how if there's one organism, wholeness as we call it, the universe, whatever it is that we believe in, how can the parts heal themselves if the whole somehow it's ill? I often wonder that because we can try to cure or heal cancer cells from our bodies, but then if the environment keeps being intoxicated and polluted, then we'll become ill again.
Yeah, so my background is in vision and eye care, and so for 40 years I've been working with. I started with discovering that I would go blind by the age of 50 if I followed the traditional Western approach to treating disease, which really just treats the symptoms of disease, not the causes. So it's interesting. It's like wag the dog, the tail wagging the dog. We're treating the symptoms by suppressing them. We're saying, oh, symptom, bad, I don't like that. It's like killing the messenger, or not listening to the intuition. True. Our body's trying to ring the alarm bells, and we say, oh, that alarm bell is loud and bright and noisy. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. I'm going to unplug it or turn it off or cover it with tape or, cut the wire. It's like, no. It's telling you need to do something different. And so like you were saying, for the eyes don't get sick in a healthy body. It's just doesn't happen. But if the body is sick, then the eyes can get sick as well. The eyes are dependent on circulation and nerve function and immunity and all the different functions, nutrition from digestion, etc. And so if we want to heal a sick eye, we have to heal the whole person. And how do we heal? If the body is sick, there's something missing. We need something. And what do we need? We don't need something that's a synthetic toxin called a drug that never existed for our ancestors' genetic history. That's not rational. There's a good application of rationality and reason. A drug can't heal. It never existed before. So what we're missing is elements of nature. We've really removed ourselves from the natural environment in many ways. If we look at, for example, nutrition, since the Green Revolution, they call it, of chemical fertilizers, NPK fertilizers, there's no Mg in magnesium put on the field each spring when they spread the manure. And we've stopped doing that. And so there's no magnesium going into the soil. Whatever magnesium is in the food is being mined out of the soil. And now the magnesium in the soil is almost gone. Magnesium in the food is almost gone compared to what it was for our ancestors. So our bodies are depleted in magnesium, and it's a majorly important mineral. There's many important minerals and vitamins that are just not in the diet as they should be, not in the food. Even when the food looks beautiful and weighs enough for farmers to make money in commerce, they're selling it by the pound, not by the nutrient content. So we need organic. We need to go back to proper methods of farming where there's a cycle of regeneration of the land, of the soil, of the nutrients in the soil. If we look at the species and the varieties of food that are grown, they're mostly, even not getting into GMO and, the toxins that are put in the food that way, but just the commercial varieties of food that makes up most of our diet compared to the heirloom varieties. The heirloom varieties have many more phytochemicals, phytonutrients, and many of those we haven't recognized as vitamins, which means it's something that's vital for life, but yet they are. But the things that we recognize, as a culture, as a government, we recognize as vital nutrients, as vitamins, are because if we don't have them, we suffer from acute disease symptoms, beriberi or scurvy, right? But what about something like lutein and zeaxanthin? For that, if we don't have it, we go blind. But it takes a long time, and we get macular degeneration, the leading cause of what's called irreversible blindness in our modern culture. Didn't exist 150 years ago. It's new because of the changes in our diet and removing ourselves from that natural cycle. But yet we're seeing for the last 30, 35 years that people with this leading cause of what the textbooks call irreversible blindness, the people we work with are reversing that blindness, whether it's even the worst type, wet macular degeneration. In the past week, we've had two clients who the images, the OCT tomography images, which is like a scan of the back of the eye where you can see the cellular structure, where they're improving, they're healing, because what we're doing is we're asking the body, rather than looking at the structure saying, okay, we'll call it this disease because of the shape. The structure is malformed, so it's this disease category. Okay, well, the structure is a fossil of past function. What we look at for healing is not the dysfunction or the poor shape or the imbalanced chemistry, which is also a structural component that's a fossil of past function. We look at the current function, which we basically ask the body. Function is energetic and it's informational. It's what's happening, what the body's doing, what the body's intending in order to heal. So and it's not just a body. Just a body is dead, right? A cadaver is a body. But when we have the spirit in the body, having an in-body experience, I like to call it, then we have consciousness, and we have consciousness not only at our organismic level of the whole person that we're aware of, but every cell is a living being, and it has its own cellular level of consciousness, and we call that epigenetics now. There's a term for it. Homeopathy has talked about miasms and the inheritability of that, and that's epigenetics. So it's something that we've known as healers, we've known about for a long time. But the beauty of a tremendous development in the sciences is there is a lot of knowledge there, but if you just have the knowledge, that's actually a dangerous thing. Look at some of the things we do with our knowledge. We make GMOs and we hurt ourselves more. But if we take the next step beyond knowledge and put it together into wisdom, make that discernment of what's good for us, what's not good for us, make the discernment of, okay, my mind is a powerful thing, and I can decide that this person has this blinding eye disease, and I look at the culture and it says, oh, there's no treatment for that, it's just going to get worse, or the treatments are actually damaging, like lasers and injections. Or I can say, well, gee, 150 years ago, this didn't exist when people ate a different diet, when the culture was different. It only exists in modern culture, not in populations that are still eating a natural diet of whole foods from the land. And so the solution is we're nature deficient is the better diagnosis for every disease. Why do I say every disease? Because if we could say there's many causes of disease, there's damage and injury, right? Trauma. And trauma at a psycho-emotional level, at a spiritual level, it's trauma. Every trauma causes injury to the body, and toxicity is a trauma. It's a chemical trauma to the body. It causes injury at a chemical level. But every trauma like that, in order to heal it, we need something from nature. We need something that's nutritive. We need something that's natural from a plant medicine. Even animals, when they're sick, they'll start eating different herbs in the field, and they'll heal themselves. And that's how some cancer medicines have been discovered. Watching horses that had cancer, oh, they're eating these herbs. Let's give those herbs to people who have cancer. Yeah, that heals them. Right? So, yeah. So we've learned how to several different methods of listening to the body, asking the body what its intention is, what the body is trying to do to heal. The first way that I learned to do that was really direct is called German Diagnostic Electroacupuncture, where we could measure at the acupuncture points of the body the energy level, the energy flow, whether the energy is low or too high. Too high, it's inflamed. Too low, it's degenerative. Or whether there's a blockage where the energy isn't sustained. It flows a little bit, but there's something jamming it up. So it's something that doesn't belong, that's not ionized. It doesn't have the proper quantum energy, the right light frequencies to create an electrical charge so the body's energy, which is electrical, can move it out of the way. And so now we're able to, that you can only do in person. So for many years, that's how I worked. But then I learned from other doctors how they would test clients who are at a distance, if they can't get into the office or they're far away or they're traveling. I'd moved to the West Coast. I had clients still back on the East Coast. And it was just amazing to see how even sometimes in the process of communicating remotely with the client's body, mind, spirit, we'd find out later, they wouldn't know what time of day we were testing. We just found out, the child was sick, and they'd find out, oh, well, at the exact time that we were testing was when the child's fever broke or when a symptom cleared. And that doesn't happen every time, but it's often enough to realize that the communication itself is a healing process. We're asking the body, what are the stresses that you're trying to deal with? What are the stress reactions the body's showing? If a homeopathic sample of healthy liver tissue from a biodynamically raised cow, if the body responds to that with a stress, then we know the liver is stressed because it's healthy liver tissue. It should not be a stress reaction unless the liver's expecting to be called on. It's like the liver's on call. It's like, yes, I know you need energy, you need help. I'm on call. I'm ready to react. And when we can find, let's say, an herb or a nutrient that we bring that into the field, and now the liver no longer responds to the call, are you stressed? We know that we've put the liver in a state of coherence where it's capable of responding to that need for healing without stressing. It has that bit of nature, the right quantum energy, because ultimately every chemical is just energy. Or how it interacts is the electromagnetic interaction. That is the only interaction, is electromagnetism. In physics, the only other thing is gravity, and they don't know what gravity is. It's just a form of electromagnetism that is not understood yet, or a form of communication that's not understood yet. There's actually physicist Nassim Haramein that's got a theory that actually makes a lot more sense and is more accurate than the standard model. That's how he sees it, understands it. It's every atom, every proton in the nucleus of an atom actually is in communication with every other proton in the visible universe. The universe could be infinite, we don't know, but the part that we can see is the part that the proton sees as well. So it's a consciousness that's conscious of the world of protons, of its relationship to that entire world. And so there's gravity is the connection. The power of being connected, and that there's a lot of protons in the earth, so we're connected to that and drawn to it.
How do you define balance in this case when it comes to healing? Is there such a thing as a destination for balance or healing?
Yes, it's a dynamic balance. We call it homeostasis in physiology. In the electroacupuncture measurements, there's a measurement that's balanced with a proper acupuncture treatment or the right remedies. It brings all of the acupuncture points into that same level of energy flow. And so the body becomes a coherent state where it's like, instead of different parts of the body trying to deal with their own things, their own stresses, it's one team all working together in unison. And it's just like the mind. If we're with one focus, we're not divided, our attention's not divided, we're not multitasking, we're so much more coherent and effective and efficient, and we get the job done. So we find that the body will heal what it's trying to heal in 1 month if it has that state of coherence. And then it's when it's done, then the spirit is going to seek out what's the next level that I can take this to with healing, with my life, with my intention, with the goals that I have, the activities I'm doing. We'll call on certain pathways, and certain ones maybe are blocked, not functioning properly, and it'll send healing energy attempting to correct those. And if we're in a natural environment, that's where we'd have the intuition to, I want to taste that leaf there. And just, or the smell that flower. Like how flower essences started with a doctor who tried to commit suicide by starving himself, going out in nature, and he wound up communing with the flowers, and the flowers healed his emotions and his psyche, and so he spent the rest of his life researching that.
Yeah, I guess I asked the question because I have been in good health for a long time. I don't have a lot of health issues, not that I'm aware of. But then my mother-in-law moved in recently, and then the body, it just reacted in such a unhealthy way that I don't feel well. It's almost like clogs and something's inflamed. And of course, my intuition is playing a part here. And then I went to buy some vegetables, as you said, that I was not eating. And then I made a vegan stew. And I wonder what that is, because it's very powerful. I wonder if that also has to do with stress, of course, of the change, because it has been a big change. And then my husband, too, he's not sleeping well. For those who are going through change like this, somebody moving in their house. And is that something that has also something to do with the thinking, the patterns of thinking, like almost like a resistance? Because I feel like the mind, it's conditioned to resist to that change. Is that what is creating all this chaos in the body?
Yeah, the body and the spirit, the mind is kind of like the relationship, the connection between the body and the spirit, right? It's the two are not separate. The two, each one affects the other. If our body is, let's say if a person's liver is stressed, they may get angry because of that more easily, and to express it at whoever is in their environment, and vice versa. If a person is angered about something, frustrated and angry, that's going to put stress on the liver, gallbladder, wood element system, as is understood in Oriental medicine, that the different organs are the seats of the different emotions. So if we're worrying and having to think about, how is this going to work out? I'm having, this conflict or a challenge, or I have to make this change. The thinking modality relates to the earth element. So that can stress the spleen and pancreas, which relates to the immune system. Spleen, immune system regulates inflammation, which you mentioned. And the pancreas is a major, most sensitive regulator of our digestion. So that can throw everything off.
Would you say that this would be like a mini diagnosis, Glenn? What you just said?
Yeah, it's like the five elements of Oriental medicine, and how they relate, like not only to the organs, which is more commonly looked at, but also to the consciousness and the emotions and the development of consciousness. To me, that's been a profound influence on how I understand and the body and healing and the person, what they're going through. I would call it one of the key dimensions of healing is the relationship between the consciousness, the emotions, the organs, and the five elements of Oriental medicine. So it's sort of an Oriental diagnosis that I feel is very important to add to the Western view. The Western view of anatomy and chemistry and physics is profound as well. And again, we've learned so much, like just about the structure of water, how living water in the body is a whole different structure and energy pattern than what we understood in school as bulk water.
If I can simplify that, it is because everything is connected. So there's nothing that's separate, that works separately, right?
Yeah. The spirit affects the body affects the spirit. The mind is in the middle, taking blows from both sides.
The body affects the spirit because the body is the vessel.
Exactly. In the Western modern view, it's sort of the brain is everything, just like in the cell, the nucleus, the DNA was thought of as everything, as the control system. But really, it's not. It's just one link in the chain. We have, our senses, vision and hearing, to sense the environment out and smell outside the body, and of course touch and taste and kinesthetic, muscle sense in the body. And then there's the emotions, which is a sense that, again, comes from the organs, internal organs of the spirit that inhabits that area. If we suppress an emotion, we're also suppressing the function of that organ as well.
I love your wisdom and how you communicate that wisdom. It's so clear. Thank you, Glenn, for being open to life.
It's a testament to the body and spirit, the healing process as a teacher, because it comes from 40 years of listening to people and listening to their energetic body, their spirit body, of what it's doing. It's just so fascinating to me. It's always just interesting and makes intuitive sense. And when we find the remedies that balance it out, I can, being kinesthetic, being a feeler, I can feel, oh, that's good. That feels good. That's so much better, even though the person's 3,000 miles away. And they start feeling better, again, sometimes, often, even when the remedies are on the way to them, because the information is already there, because we are connected. We're connected instantaneously with each other. Like studies on remote healing where people pray for another person, all they have is a photograph of the person, not the name, the diagnosis, or the address. And yet the people who are prayed for, where healing intention is sent to them through their photograph by other people, in all the studies, they heal faster and better.
Wow, how amazing.
So our thoughts are so powerful.
Yeah, it transcends belief systems, right, Glenn?
Absolutely. In those studies, they're done with control groups. So half of the people are not having a healing intention, and the other half are. And so they don't know which group they're in. So whatever their beliefs.
Yeah. You are the co-author of Transforming Your Life, Volume 4, 18 incredible stories showing the strength of the human spirit. You sent it to me, the article, and I read what caught my attention. And one of the things that caught my attention here was when you talked about that sense of identification with the divine and transcendent. That caught my attention in a sense of kind of getting to understand myself in the audience, what it feels like when you have that sense, when you had or you have, like, for example, now, what does it feel like to be identified with the divine?
I think it's a difficult thing to put into words, because words are sort of separations of part of the fullness of reality. But it's a sense of the inner and the outer not being different or separate. It's a oneness. It's a unifying sense. So it's a transcendent kind of transformational sense of flow. There's no stress in that. There's not, oh, this is hard. No, it's miraculous and wonderful and freeing, and also just fascinating and inspiring, and just opens the mind to that everything may be possible, everything good.
I love that. I love the description, although it's not possible to describe, but it resonates true. And this is something that we practice, that you have practiced to get to, or it just happens?
Well, that early experience was something that just happened for me, but it's a theme in my life. I mean, certainly the type of work that I do, where I'm tuning into a person at a distance through their photograph and their history and their symptoms, I'm taking on that relationship with them as a surrogate, as an empath. I'm feeling their feelings in my body, in a sense. That's a very meditative state to achieve that. So having practiced that so many thousands and thousands of times, it's become very easy. But it's also just a sense of serving this other person. So it's, when we serve, we receive we're serving the universe. We're also opening up the ability to receive the support, the flow, the energy, the inspiration, for that service. So it can be just such a heightened state where, our own challenges and symptoms are no longer present in that moment.
That's another powerful and true message to me. Yeah, that service is a practice, isn't it? It's a spiritual practice.
Yeah, there's an interesting twist on, healers often talk about if they are working on someone very intensely who has a very intense condition, sometimes they experience the symptoms of that person, right? And there's this idea, the common idea is that they're sort of taking on that other person's healing. And I've come to a slight variation of that I think is closer to the deeper truth, that actually what's happening is in the process of resonating with that other person, whatever we share, the challenges that we share, maybe at a deeper level that are not at a level of awareness, not a level that we're healing, they come up to a level of active healing and awareness. So we're actually healing ourselves while feeling that similar feeling that the other person is feeling. I experienced that with lupus, working on a client who was actually dying of lupus, and I had some of the same underlying triggers like mercury toxicity, and so I had the capacity to go there into that realm of symptoms and realize, no, it's not that, I have to protect myself from the other person's energy. It's that, I'm serving myself as well by, going through these symptoms are in homeopathy, they're described as the expression of the vital force in its best attempt, given the resources at hand, to heal. So they're expressions of healing, which is why Western medicine is so destructive of health, because we suppress with toxins that block those pathways, block those healing pathways, where homeopathy or other forms of stimulatory medicine turns on additional pathways, other parallel pathways. We recruit more help rather than saying, bad, go away, die.
Yeah. Yeah. Another true message to me. We see that so often that anything that people feel, they take a pill for it. They want it to shut down, end the symptoms, which is the messenger, right?
Yeah. So here's this. If you have that pill, the safest way to take it is put it in a little bag, a Ziploc bag in your pocket. So it's in the body field, because there is often something healing about the quantum energetics of that medicine, that synthetic, but it's not, the chemistry is what's toxic. So like people with migraine, if they do that with their migraine, their kaffir medicine, put the pill in their pocket, they generally will not get a migraine. But if it's in the purse or in the suitcase, briefcase, they'll get a headache and feel they have to take the drug.
How do you work with your clients, new clients? What is the initial step? Do they meet you online? Yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So the best way to start is we have a website that's called Accelerated Self-Healing, past tense, acceleratedselfhealing.com. And on that site, there's actually a page about the book this most recent book. It's been an international bestseller, and I've got a chapter in there that tells my story. And I also have a free webinar on that same site. It's about 44 minutes long. And that also goes through the story of my experiences, some of the amazing experiences I've had that we haven't even gotten into, out-of-body, near-death experiences, meeting angels, telling me personal prophetic prophecies that came true 2 to 20 years later in my life. So you'll find that interesting. And at the end of that webinar, there's a link offered to set up a free talk with me, and so then we can get together and either on on a video chat or on phone, whatever's comfortable, and see what your story is, and we can share how we've seen healing and those kind of things. Again, conditions that the medical system says, oh, that's impossible. I had a woman who had cataracts and glaucoma. She was trying to stay out of surgery because she had a surgery for glaucoma in one eye and almost went blind because of it. There's a reaction that some people have in both eyes when one eye is cut. So she, knew she was at extreme risk from any kind of invasive treatment. And I worked with her for a number of years and kept her vision going. And in the process, when she went, she had never told me she had a heart condition. She didn't think of it. She had it for 30 years. And, it was just a stable mitral valve prolapse. And when she went back to her Harvard-trained cardiologist and he listened to her heart and the valve had healed itself, he was amazed. He was flabbergasted. He told her, if I had not been your cardiologist for all these 30 years and remember hearing that your heart myself, I would have said absolutely no question you were misdiagnosed in the beginning because this does not heal. And she was in her late 80s. Who knows? My conclusion is we don't know what we can't heal because we haven't been trying. We've been believing in a cultural system of disease care, not health care, that's kind of a culture of death, culture of extracting. Our whole commerce is based on extracting the life force of other people. And hopefully we'll find a better way to interact in the future. For now, we're kind of dependent. I actually retired from commerce a long time ago. I chose a vow of poverty, so I don't actually get paid anything for this work except for the joy, the amazing experience, the learning, gaining wisdom. But we do have to charge for the remedies. There's material costs for that. We have to charge for the services because there's other people and overhead expenses involved. But that's how we get started. And it doesn't require leaving home in order to get our third opinion and design a program of natural remedies, mostly capsules or capsules or powders or liquids, depending on the ingredients, that will reintroduce the right quantum energies, the right material substances from nature, nutrients and botanical substances that for that month are going to accelerate the body's healing to get the job done that it's trying to do. Otherwise, we can be stuck trying to heal something for 20 years because we don't have the right ingredient. It's like if you're trying to fix your house and you're missing the blueprints, well, that's like the epigenetics, having the right energy field, the information field, missing the materials, the nutrients, like I don't have the bricks to fix that wall, or we need the energy which is like the labor, we need the enzymes, the laborers, we need all the right ingredients, and then things progress very rapidly.
I do have a different website. I will have the other one too. I think I have on your other interview, but I have the remedymatch.com. Can I have both of them, those two websites?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Remedymatch.com is like matchmaking for your supplements.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So you can go there. There's in the upper right-hand corner, there's the little magnifying glass icon. You click on that for a search. And I've programmed it with keywords. So you can put in a keyword if it's macular degeneration or if it's a headache or whatever it is. Put in your keyword for a symptom or a condition, or you're looking for an ingredient, a nutrient, you can put that in and it'll come up with some remedies to look at. And then the acceleratedselfhealing.com is where we have the link, so you can actually talk to us and we can go from there, and that's free.
Wonderful. I'll have those two websites on your podcast profile. Before we say goodbye today, Glenn, I would like to ask you a final question, the ending question. What 3 experiences you wish everyone to have before they lose the body, before they die?
Ooh. Oh, well, one certainly would be that vision, that sense, that feeling of absolute knowing that you are part of everything, that you are connected, you're an essential part, you are love and light and life itself embodied in this temporary form, this temporal form of the human body. So for the purpose of experience, for the purpose of growth, for the purpose of even making mistakes so we can learn from them. Like say the only real mistakes are the ones we haven't learned from yet.
True.
So that's a good one. The experience of healing, like going through a healing crisis, is so amazing when you come out the other side with renewed vitality, renewed function, restored function that was maybe long lost. Just gives the certainty of knowing that suffering is not for nothing. There's a purpose to actually facing whatever suffering comes to us in our life is for the purpose of the growth of our spirit, which is the part that we do get to take with us. Having the certainty and the knowledge of that growing and learning process through healing is very profound. And a third one, I suppose, what comes to my mind from my intuition is just the knowledge of being loved, that we are loved, we're not alone. It's not just I am the universe is me, but it's a universe that's full of beings of light and love, and we're here to love and serve each other, to learn how. There's certainly some of us that we find easier to learn with, and we want to keep them close. Others we find easier to love at a distance, so practice that. When I was going through court processes, I had to say, well, how do I go in that room and love these people that are trying to lock me up for years? And
right.
said, well, okay, at the time, said, well, the hardest person on the planet for me to love right now was, at the time, the president of the United States. It was a Bush. And I said, okay, so I'd meditate on that, say, okay, I got it, I get it. Each of us living beings, whatever state we're in, we're here for a purpose for each other, to serve each other. And so we each play a role, and I don't want to play his role. So I have to appreciate him for making that sacrifice of playing such a role that I find so confronting, so difficult to understand. And so I could go in and appreciate the judge and, all the people in there. It's like, okay, thank you so much for playing this role. This is all this theater for my benefit to learn and grow.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I love everything about you. Thank you so much, Glenn, for being open to life to this
Absolute
point.
Pleasure.
It's beautiful.
And not done yet.
I know. I know. So we'll talk soon. Take good care. And thank you again for your presence.
Aloha, Valeria.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Dr. Glenn Swartwout and his work, please visit acceleratedselfhealing.com and remedymatch.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.